officer of the Naval Supply Center in Norfolk, Virginia. Admiral Oller then moved to Texas, where he began his second career in the oil industry, a career that lasted 15 years and saw him rise to the position of Executive Vice President for the Texas Eastern Products Pipeline Company. And during his long and distinguished naval career, Admiral Oller was awarded the Legion of Merit, the Meritorious Service, Joint Service Commendation, World War II American Theater, World War II Occupation, World War II Victory, and National Service Defense Medals. Admiral Oller is married to the former Doris Greenleaf, a 1943 McCaskey graduate. They have 2 sons and 5 grandchildren. Admiral Oller now lives in retirement in Sugar Land, Texas. And unfortunately, Admiral Oller is unable to be with us, and that has helped the everyday of my life. The second lesson was even more important. Get to know your classmates, because here is where you will be making lifelong friends, and as you go through life, nothing is more valuable. And finally, I learned that there was so much I didn't know, and I discovered to my amazement that every hour of every day, the opportunity was there for me to learn something new. High school is a once and enjoy it. As a footnote to these comments, the most memorable event to me at McCaskey was my senior year when I met one of the new sophomores, the woman who I have been happily married to for the past 56 years. Rear Admiral Miryam, McCaskey class of 41 and 2002 Distinguished Alumni Recipients. Now on to a classmate of mine. During his years at McCaskey, Howard Means was a member of the varsity football and swimming teams. He was a co-captain of the swimming teams for 2 years. Academically, he was a member of the Honor Society. I never made that, Howard, no. Here's the diploma, get Oxford out of here. In the 1962 edition of the Echo, Howard, that's the yearbook, they still call the Echo, right? Yeah, okay. The Echo. Howard Means said he wanted to be, you remember what you said, Howard? He doesn't remember. Well, in 1962, Howard, you said you wanted to be an architect. Yes, you did. Whatever happened to that, Howard? After saying goodbye to good old JV, Howard continued his education at the University of Virginia, where he was named an outstanding scholar athlete. After he received his college degrees, a bachelor's and master's, Howard went back to school, this time as a high school English teacher in Washington, D.C. In 1975, Howard Means entered the noble world of journalism. As a writer, Howard would tell his readers about everything from presidential candidates to an American tragedy that was the Challenger disaster. Howard wrote an op-ed column that was carried in newspapers across America, and in 1989 he became a senior editor of Washingtonian magazine. And he recently left that prestigious position to devote full-time to writing books. He has written 7 books. And how about this? The first biography of Colin Powell. Howard wrote that. He also is the author of CSA. In that book, Howard examines what America would be like today if the South had won the Civil War. His book, Money and Power, The History of Business, was published last year as a companion volume to a CNBC documentary of the same title. Howard's newest book, this sounds interesting, Howard, The Banana Sculptor, The Purple Lady, and The All-Night Swimmer. How do you get that all on the front of the book? It was written with Susan Sheehan. It was published by Simon & Schuster. Howard and his wife Candy live in Bethesda, Maryland. They are the parents of 2 grown children, a son and a daughter. The Howard Means, the class of of 1962 did not go on to be an architect, but he did all right for himself. I give you 2002 Distinguished Alumni recipient Howard Means, class of '62.
Anybody who had anything to do with the varsity football team during my timeline would debate whether I was actually a member of that team or not, since I so rarely got into games. But first, I want to thank the committee for this, for what is really a deeply undeserved honor. I'm thrilled to have it, however. Yeah, if you had asked me on the day I first walked through the doors of McCaskey what I wanted to be when I grew up, I think I would have answered without a moment's thought that I wanted to be a second baseman for the Philadelphia Phillies. And if you asked me the same question on graduation day and held me down and actually got me to tell you the truth, not what I thought would look good in the yearbook, I wouldn't have said an architect, I would have said I wanted to be a writer, I wanted to write books. And the question I've been sort of thinking about since the committee was kind enough to honor me was what happened in the years I was a student here to change that direction so thoroughly. Well, for one thing, reality intervened. I got cut when I tried out for the McCaskey baseball team, and it seemed like that meant I had a tough time making the Phillies in another couple of years, so I gave up on that dream. As for architecture, it soon became apparent to me that I couldn't draw worth a hoot, so that didn't seem like a very good career either. But I also think I began during my time here to take seriously the messages and the intuitions and the hints that my brain was starting to send me. And as my time here passed, the strongest of those messages started to say that, gee, it would really be neat to someday have enough good words in me that fill up a book, and it would be even neater if somebody was fool enough to buy the book. Now, I had no idea if I would ever get to that point. But without really thinking about it, I began to use the goal of writing books as a way of organizing what was a very disorganized life. At college, I majored in English because that seemed to me the sort of thing a future writer should do. Then I taught high school English for 8 years after college, figuring that might give me the time and the training to get started on a writing career, but the work was way too hard. So I became a journalist instead, thinking that at least now I get paid for the words I was producing. Then, as Dick mentioned, about 10 years ago, a publisher asked me if I'd like to do a biography of an Army general who had just started to make a big name for himself, Colin Powell. I did that, I wrote that, and I sold some books, I got on TV some, and there have been plenty of more books since. But the point is that even if I'd never gotten to write a book, or a second one, or a third one, I would have had a good time in life, because all the work I've done has been in the pursuit of more work I really wanted to do. I love teaching high school English. I love being a journalist, interviewing presidential candidates, standing at Cape Canaveral, and watching the space shuttle Discovery lift off in the first light of the morning. I've loved writing books these last 10 years. And that's really my message to you today, that you listen to the voices that are telling you what you'd like to do when you leave here. And if you're not afraid to follow them, if you get your work and your secret ambitions lined up, good things just naturally happen, I think. The second thing that turned my course around in McCaskey is that some of my teachers forced me to begin taking myself seriously. My English teacher, my junior English teacher, 11th grade English teacher, Martha Gall, made a personal crusade to get me to stop talking like I've been raised by wolves. Paul Fry did the seemingly impossible. He made calculus a hoot. And because he did, I began to want to learn something about the interrelation of numbers. I learned very little, but I tried for a while to do so. But for me, the biggest moment of all came in a class I think was called World Culture. It was taught by a man named Monroe Sawyer, a very exact man named Monroe Sawyer. And I can remember so well Mr. Sawyer, about 6 weeks into the course, he was handing back papers and he was walking down the rows and handing people back their papers. And he held mine over my head, so I had to look up at him and look at the paper. And he said, "Mr. Means, sir, your vacation in my class is over." Well, it turns out that in spite of myself, I'd done a good enough job in the paper that Mr. Sawyer could see a spark of intelligence behind my slacker eyes. And from that day on, he never let me rest my way through his class. Did I like it? Not in the least. I was a committed slacker. But because Mr. Sawyer and others forced me to it, I began to take myself more seriously. And because I did that, I think I discovered those voices I mentioned earlier, the ones that were urging me towards being a writer. And I began to listen to them, and that, I guess, is why I'm here today. So to Monroe Sawyer, to Paul Fry, to Martha Gall, to the other teachers long gone who wouldn't let me glide my years through McCaskey and sleepwalk my way from one class to the next. As well as to the committee seated here, the committee was kind enough to honor me, and the people seated here, many, many thanks, and especially thanks to all of you for listening. Thanks.
Thank you, Howard. Let me ask you something here. How many went to Reynolds? All right, good. That's good. That's good. How many went to Wheeling? All right. How many went where I went to school? Everett Hand. And George Washington, too. George Washington Elementary. Right. Thank you. Well, we got that taken care of. Oh, Lincoln, yes. Can't forget Lincoln. How about Lincoln? All right. I have them all now. 4. Okay. Edward Hand, yeah. Okay. Our next recipient, Rosa Cunningham Harris, class of 1967. Rosa Cunningham Harris said goodbye to J.B. McCaskey High School in 1967. And entered Morgan State University, where she received her bachelor's degree. Rosa continued her education at Smith College, where she earned a master's degree in social work. She then received her teacher's certification from Millersville University. Following graduate school, Rosa went to work as a counselor and then counseling unit director of family services. Rosa also serves her community as volunteer. She's a member of the board of directors of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Lancaster County. She's a board member of the Pennsylvania Dutch Council of Boy Scouts of America. She's a group of 10 leader and facilitator for Good Schools, Pennsylvania. She's a member of the Phi Delta Kappa Educational Fraternity, Lancaster County Counselors Association, Pennsylvania School Counselors Association, Police Civil Service Board, the Lancaster Foundation for Educational Enrichment. I'm not finished yet. Rosa has served on the board of directors of the Urban League of Lancaster County and YWCA. She is past president of the Urban League Guild. And Rosa is still hitting the books. She's enrolled at Penn State and studying for her principal certification in educational administration. Rosa's daughter Shelby is a teacher at Reynolds Middle School. And Rosa and her husband Marvin have a son, Matthew, who is a student here at J.B. McCaskey High School. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you 2002 Distinguished Alumni recipient, Rosa Cunningham Harris, class of 67.
Have been selected to receive a Distinguished Alumni Award for 2002. Success is the result of perfection, hard work, learning from failure, loyalty, and persistence. My education at McCaskey afforded me the opportunity to develop a sense of pride, a sense of belonging, a solid foundation for involvement in community volunteerism, and also development of leadership skills. The alma mater talks about proud are we for thee and prouder, and school days filled with laughter and joy. My years at McCaskey were very memorable, and you will find that as you get older, that your years will bring back fond memories and lasting friendships. My years were memorable not only for the academic achievement, and developing lasting friendships, but also involvement in sports, activities, music, and clubs were also equally important. Research has shown that there is a link between being involved in sports and other activities and also academic achievement. I enjoyed my years here at McCaskey to the fullest. My teachers played an important part in preparing me for the success I have achieved. They were very caring, and sometimes they went over and beyond the call of duty. Being born in Virginia, I did not have the opportunity to take swimming. And at McCaskey, as some of you may know, swimming was mandatory. I was very scared. Never have been in water before except in the shower. I had a teacher, Susan Atkins. She helped me to develop a sense of confidence and taught me the skills that motivated me. On more than one occasion, she got into the pool with me to help me develop my swimming skills. And I really appreciated that. And also, that is what I call dedication. When I went to Morgan State University, and swimming also was mandatory, the instructor said, if you want to get an A in this class, what you need to do is to dive off the diving board, swim all the way across to the other end, and you will get an A. That really was not a challenge for me, because I learned to overcome obstacles and challenge here in the swimming class. I was able to accomplish that goal and receive an A for swimming. I did not seriously plan my career until my senior year, which is late. Begin now in the 9th and 11th grade your career planning success. Hopefully you seniors here in the auditorium already know what you're going to do, as graduation is around the corner. My guidance counselor told my mother, she shared with her, that I would not be able to make it in college. But I do believe in turning negatives into positives. I love accepting challenges. The message I would like to share with you is accept all challenges head on. Learn to embrace them. Go over hurdles as if you were training for a track meet. Use all available resources. I also attended a pre-college enrichment program at Franklin and Marshall College during the summers, and this was under the direction and leadership of Pauline Leet Pittenger, and was able to realize my goal of college. Set realistic and attainable goals. Aim very high, and also set deadlines. Involve yourselves in activities. Aim for the Hall of Honor. Every student in the Hall of Honor not only excelled academically, but they also went the extra mile to involve themselves in community organizations, extracurricular activities, clubs, sports, church, and youth groups. Last but not least, believe in yourself. Find ways to motivate yourself. And good luck in your future endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rosa. I want to say one thing. McCaskey basketball team, thank you for an exceptional season. You made your McCaskey family extremely proud. Thank you. Dr. William Cooper, class of 1969. William Cooper graduated from J.P. McCaskey High School in June of 1969. He continued his education at Brown University, where he earned a bachelor's and master's degrees in 1973. He was awarded his doctorates from Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1976. William Cooper then went on to teach at the university level. He became a member of the faculty at Harvard, and then the University of Iowa, and then was on to Tulane University. At Tulane, William served as Dean of the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Sciences. In 1996, he joined the faculty at Georgetown University. And then in 1998, this McCaskey High School graduate was appointed president of the University of Richmond. He has co-authored or co-authored 5 books, plus more than 100 articles for several professional journals. William has also published several essays on public policy and higher education, and he is a poet. He has had some of his poetry published. William Cooper has been a Fulbright Fellow, Guggenheim Fellow, and recipient of the Bruce Lindsay Award of the Acoustical Society of America. He's married to Dr. Clarissa Holmes, who is nationally recognized for her work with juvenile diabetes. She is also on the faculty of the Virginia Commonwealth University. William and Clarissa have 2 daughters. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with honor that I present Dr. William E. Cooper, class of 1969-2002, Distinguished Alumni Recipient.
Thank you, Dick. Thanks to the committee. It's great to see some names I remember from my youth. Buddy Glover, Dick Coxworth, I remember you well. I had great teachers at this school, and much like Dick, I can never thank them enough, but I do want to thank them here today because they influenced whatever I've contributed since then. One, my English teacher, Donna Mae Cooey, gave me one simple piece of advice. She said, if you really want to learn to write, Bill, come in early in the morning, before class starts. I get here early, which was then 7 o'clock, and she said, I'll see anyone, even you, who come in early to help with your writing. So I took her up on it one day, and she made a lot of red marks on whatever I had written. I took it back, I rewrote, I took it in again, more red marks, more editing, took it back, again and again and again. All year long I did this. And at the end of the year, I realized that I wasn't going to write the great American novel, but that maybe I could study how the brain works and doesn't work when we try to form our thoughts into something that we call precise and creative writing. And that's what I've been pursuing ever since. She taught me that if you fail at one thing, work on the fundamental questions that belie that failure, and you may yet have a new adventure and a new exploration. And I'm deeply indebted to her. She was not merely a teacher, she was a force of nature. She got your attention, and those of you who know her know what I'm talking about. She burned her personhood into your personhood and said, pay attention, kid, this is important. And have fun doing it. Similarly, Mr. White, another English teacher, and Mr. Baker, a Latin teacher. Again, forces of nature, inspirational teachers. It's interesting for you students, and I think of myself sitting there some 33 years ago saying, what's this guy up here doing, getting an alumni award? It's way, way into the future for me. I'm interested in the here and now, and so you should be. And each of you hopefully has at least one teacher who inspires you in your own way. But it's interesting how some of the lessons you learn come back to you years later. This summer I had the privilege of going to Italy for the first time, to a little town called Perugia, where we have some exchange partnerships with universities there. And I was trying to learn a little fledgling Italian, and as my wife knows, this is another thing I was not destined to do well in life. I tried French, I tried Latin. I won't even begin to tell you the stories of how I almost failed swimming here. But I tried. And I got to Perugia, and I just thought of Mr. Baker the whole time, and I thought, boy, how proud he'd be of me, stumbling through Latin, stumbling through Italian, trying to remember the similarities of the IRE verbs and the ERE verbs, getting that conjunction back in my mind after 30-some years. And finally there I was, and I looked up and I saw an archway. And it's a very unusual archway because it's one of these archways that has different geological layers to it, different architectural layers, as it were. The Etruscans, the Romans, a number of different groups built this arch over long, long periods of time, many centuries. It's an archway you never forget when you see it. But for me, it meant something special because I first saw it here in a Latin class, and Mr. Baker told me about it. And I'd forgotten it, I'd forgotten the picture, I'd forgotten the lesson for 35 years. This was something I had in 10th grade. And there it was, this majestic archway. And you'll have experiences like that throughout your life as well. When I went to McCaskey, it was in the years 1966 through 1969. A lot of traumatic things in our country were happening during that time. You students will never forget exactly where you were on 9/11 when you heard the news about the World Trade Towers. But yet you probably had a test the next day. Life goes on for the living, and for you and your teachers, life went on, and you did your best, and you persevered. Similarly, I remember vividly the deaths of Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy in 1968, and I particularly remember the moment in June when Robert Kennedy died, because I was walking to school the next morning. It was a bright, sunny, and very humid day in June, and I had a Latin exam. And I thought, oh gee, I studied all year for this. Robert Kennedy just died last night. What's the point? What's the point of taking this exam about those IRE verbs? We got there. We knew Mr. Baker would be a little distraught about Robert Kennedy's death because he seemed a Robert Kennedy fan. And he was a little distraught. But then he raised the blackboard and said, we had blackboards in those days. He said, we're going on with the exam. Life goes on for the living. And so it did. And we trudged through the exam. It was a hot day. We did the best we could. And that's what you did the day after 9/11. That's what you do each and every day. And it's a tribute to you and a tribute to your teachers. I want to mention one more teacher whose name I had frankly forgotten. He was a biology teacher, David Martin. And a biology teacher here, whom I saw in the men's room before I came on stage, said hi to me, congratulations. I said, yeah, I guess the red flower gives it away. I said, what do you teach? He says, biology. I said, oh, I had a great biology teacher, David something. He said, David Martin, just retired a few years ago. I said, yes, David Martin. Taught me my first DNA model work. Adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, et cetera, et cetera. He was passionate about biology. And he told us how explosive this field was and was going to be. And that was absolutely true then, and it's absolutely true now. And I didn't catch the name of the wonderful biology teacher in the men's room whom I saw today in the yellow sweater. But I wish I had, and I hope I will. He had that same kind and caring look that I remember in Miss Cooley, Mr. Baker, Mr. White, and Mr. Martin. He cared about me as an individual. He cared about the fact that we were here today. And that is what teachers at McCaskey were known for in the days when I was a student. That is what they're still known for. Thank you very much for this award. It's deeply honored.
Our next recipient, Miryam C. Granthon, class of 1989. Miryam left McCaskey. When she did, she was the first member of her family to become a high school graduate. After leaving McCaskey, Miryam went on to college and then to graduate school. While an undergraduate at Penn State, Miryam received a full merit scholarship to study economics at Oxford University in England. As a graduate student at Boston University School of Social Work, Miryam maintained a grade point average of 3.7. She now is pursuing her PhD at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, which is recognized as the #1 school of public health in the world. Miryam works for the federal government, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Her title is Co-Project Coordinator for Eliminating Health Disparities in the Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion. Oh no, the federal government does not believe in simple or short titles. I would like to see how you get all of that on your business card. Miryam has received many commendations from the federal government for the job she is doing on behalf of the American people. Miryam is now serving on the planning committee of the Office of Women's Health, upcoming Young Women's Health Summit, which will be held in August. Miryam is also very active in community service. She believes in giving back to her community. Among her free time activities, she volunteers at Mary Center for Maternal and Child Care Clinic in Washington, D.C. She began there as a volunteer with the Children's Play Group. She now serves as a co-vice chair of the clinic's board. Miryam is an inspiration and mentor to members of Washington's Latino community and to her family and friends back home here in Lancaster. It is with pleasure that I present Miryam C. Granthon, Class of '89 and 2002 Distinguished Alumni Recipient.
Buenos días. Good morning. First, I'd like to thank a few people. First, my family. My dad, who is just recovering from surgery. My mom, Rosa. My sister, Sandra, who are all in the audience joining me today to accept this award. And my brother Abel and his fiancée Jessica, who are with us in spirit, who are not able to join us today. The Alumni Association Award Committee for recognizing my contributions as a Latina graduate from this great high school and being included in extremely distinguished honorees. And to all of you, J.K. McCaskey students, who I expect will soon be on the stage receiving this same award and faced with the struggle of what to say to a group of young adults so early in the morning. My message to you all this morning is short and simple. Continuously take time to know who you are and continuously make plans for your future. In keeping with who I am, I would like to take a minute or two to share with you all the oral tradition of us Latinos with a cuento, a story that nicely expresses the points this morning that I'm trying to communicate: self-identity and future planning. Just by raising hands, how many of you know who Edward James Olmos is? All right. Okay, some of you have seen Mi Familia or the new PBS special, American Family? Okay. So the story I chose is by Edward James Olmos. He is an actor, very well internationally recognized actor. And I'll be really short. Fortitude means that you have a sense of self-worth sufficient to sustain you and make you move forward against insurmountable odds. The fortitude to cope, the fortitude to manage, the fortitude to accept, the fortitude to share, the fortitude to be able to understand others. I wouldn't have gotten where I am today if I hadn't had the example of fortitude set by my parents. My father went to school through the 6th grade, my mother through the 8th grade, but the fortitude that my mother and father showed in pursuing an education was unbelievable. I remember so well going to see my father get his high school diploma when I was a young man. I was 11, 12, 13 when he was going through high school, and he was in his late 30s. He studied English, mathematics, psychology, and literature in school. I saw him do it. I used to go to school with him. The experience made me realize that education must be really important because there were a lot of older people sitting in those uncomfortable chairs that were made for little children my size. And they were filled with adults who would sit there for 3 hours after working all day, 12 hours a day. When my father graduated from high school, I graduated from junior high. And I never thought about not graduating from high school. And I never thought about not graduating from high school. I went on and graduated. My mother started high school when I did. And when I graduated, so did she. I went up to college. My mother had been in college for about 10 or 12 years now. She's not aiming at graduation. She just enjoys taking the classes and learning. I love that passage. She just enjoys taking the classes and learning. Even my youngest sister, who had 3 children, 10 months apart, started at the age of 15, got her education after each baby was born. She has now 6 children, but she made it through high school and college and became a registered nurse. So consistency was the lesson of triumph over all adversity taught to us by our parents, that my little sister could handle it. She didn't lose it, she didn't quit school, even with 6 children. She didn't quit school, even with 6 children. She didn't become a welfare mom, she finished high school, finished college, and went on to become a nurse and support herself. Just wanted to share that, it was really appropriate. And then, just to close, in appreciation of this tremendous opportunity to speak with you, as you can see, it's very emotional. And in efforts to continue to promote the profession of health services, which I believe is a growing field, and you can go on to university, to trade school, it's a growing field, and the need for more people who are open to different cultures, who are knowledgeable of different languages, which I think is one of the many things you learn here about here in McCaskey. I encourage you all, I am donating a couple of resources to the counseling services and directories about how to pursue social work school, medical school, nursing, etc. And the first donation is the most recent journal, the American Journal of Public Health, which focuses all on ethnic minority women's health, which is a passion of mine. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, would you join me in welcoming home these 4 distinguished members of our McCaskey family. And I'd like to call Bill Brown, class of 75, who is president of the Alumni Association. Bill.
Thank you. I'd like to add my own thank you and congratulations to these fine people we just honored in the areas of the military, journalism, teaching, educational administration, and health services. Not only are these people truly distinguished McCaskey alumni, they are and have been leaders in their fields. It's an honor to meet you and present you with this award. Thank you and congratulations. The Alumni Association would like to take this opportunity to make 2 additional and very special acknowledgments. The first is of Mr. S. Ernest Kilgore, class of 1918. Before McCaskey, he was a graduate of Boys High School, the building we now know as Fulton Elementary. During high school, Ernie was head cheerleader, hero in the school play, president of the Glee Club, a member of the football ticket sales committee, and a prophet. In this role, he was responsible for predicting what each class member would achieve. After graduating from Boys High, Ernie received his bachelor's degree from Franklin Marshall College and his master's in education from Penn State. In 1924, he came back to McCaskey, and back to Lancaster, and taught English first at Boys High for 3 years and then at McCaskey. In 1938, he became Dean of Boys and served in that role until his retirement after 41 years in 1965. He was co-chair of all his class reunions until 1983. He's currently living at Willow Valley Retirement Home. Yeah, currently living. And on his latest birthday, he celebrated 101 years. He is probably our oldest living alumnus. By virtue of his longevity and quality of service, Ernie Kilgore is most deserving of this first McCaskey Pride Award. And we will be sending him an appropriate certificate and letter accompanying if we would join in some applause for Ernie Kilgore. The second special acknowledgement the Alumni Association would like to make is for Mr. Carol Butch Staub. During his almost 30 years in the school district of Lancaster, he has not only gotten to know lots of students and served them well, he's gotten to know the alumni and served us well. Let me read just a few sentences from a letter written jointly by the Alumni Association Board to the School Board of Directors. Mr. Staub has been a great supporter and champion of the Alumni Association, even sacrificing personal time to speak at class reunions and work with individual alumni and classes on various projects. Mr. Staub has a sincere concern and keen understanding of the tradition of the McCaskey High School family and the Lancaster community. His friendly, outgoing personality in working with alumni has been a major motivation in class organizations donating money, books, and art to the high school. He was instrumental in inaugurating the 50th class celebration at graduation, in ensuring the students, staff, and alumni all benefit from the Distinguished Alumni Assembly, and in facilitating the many scholarships the Alumni Association awards at the annual McCaskey Awards Assembly. His special blend of leadership skills and warm personality will be sorely missed and impossible to replace in the hearts of the alumni. Mr. Staub, it is my pleasure and my privilege and honor to represent the Alumni Association and offer you this special acknowledgement. Although you are leaving, we're not really going to let you go. In fact, in recognition for all you have done and meant to the alumni, I would like to present you with this engraved clock and a lifetime honorary membership in the J.P. McCaskey Alumni Association.
What I was planning to say in my closing remarks was that I now understand why my high school has never given me a distinguished honor, distinguished alumni award. I've never been a rear admiral. I've never fought in World War I or II. Wasn't even old enough to, by the way. I've never written books. I've never interviewed famous people. I don't serve on the board of any major organization. Have not been a president of a university, and a whole bunch of other things that we heard this morning, and including going to Oxford University. And maybe it's because my greatest achievement as a child, I was one of 9 children, and the thing that I did best was grub for food. When the dinner stuff came out, you took pot luck. If you didn't grab quickly, you might not have gotten anything. So maybe that had something to do with it. But what I wanted to say to all of the distinguished alumni today, even though I respect them and all that they have done, I have something that you have not had. And that is, I've been a teacher here at McCaskey, and I've been the voting principal. And that's really important too. And a special thanks to our alumni director for putting everything together today, Ms. Shermer Walston. And of course to our Lancaster Foundation director, Laura Oller. Thank you very much, Laura. And again, one of the distinctions that you do not have as distinguished alumni is that you don't have the power to tell kids to go back to class. I do. Please report to your first period. Thank you very much.